Peterborough, New Hampshire, just like I pictured it.
The New Hampshire primary occupies a hallowed place in presidential politics, steeped in tradition, replete with romance, from the rolling hills and snow-swept vistas to town hall meetings in places like Peterborough, stocked with cantankerous voters.
Can you look right over here? I mean, there are some senior citizens here.
Voters who, time and again, have handed improbable victories to insurgent candidates on both the Democratic side of the aisle.
Thank you, New Hampshire.
I love New Hampshire.
New Hampshire tonight has made Bill Clinton the comeback kid.
And the Republican side of the aisle.
I think we finally have a poll without a margin of error.
Mount up, everybody, and ride to the sound of the gun. New Hampshire. I'm here a lot. And then all of a sudden, we started getting numbers in, and everyone said, how come they like Trump so much?
Question for the ages, but whatever the answer, Trump was the insurgent in New Hampshire in 2016, aiming to topple the GOP's established order. But today, Trump is the GOP, and the field of contenders to upend him has been reduced to just one. Nikki Haley, roundly mocked for declaring,
I can safely say, tonight, Iowa made this Republican primary a two-person race.
After finishing third behind Ron DeSantis, only to be proven prescient 6 days later when DeSantis ended his campaign in a manner as hapless, helpless, and hopeless as he'd run it all along.
Greetings from Florida.
With DeSantis first a dead man walking and then simply a dead man, Haley effectively had Trump one-on-one for the 8-day sprint to New Hampshire. But Haley promptly announced that she wouldn't take part in the upcoming ABC News WMUR TV debate at Manchester's St. Anselm College unless Trump did so too, stunning the state's political insiders.
Between Iowa and New Hampshire, there's so many days. Where are the pivot points? 90 minutes on WMUR TV. Our statewide television station is a pivot point. It's a chance for candidates to move.
I would have not only done the debate, I would have done 3 or 4 debates. I would have bought my own hour of time. I would have given New Hampshire what it craves, a moment to make history.
Haley didn't do much last week with the maverick feel of Murphy's most famous client. No epic town hall meetings, no freewheeling sessions with reporters, a light schedule that looked like a comfortable frontrunners, not a hungry challengers. Meanwhile, the actual frontrunners campaign consisted of a phalanx of MAGA surrogates blanketing the state, while Trump parachuted in for one rally per day, devoted mostly to mocking Haley.
Nikki Haley is a disaster. She worked for me for a long time. She's not tough enough, she's not smart enough, and she wasn't respected enough. She's a globalist fool. She is not presidential timber. So if you want a losing candidate who puts America last, vote for Nikki Haley.
Then on Friday night in Concord, Trump had another of his increasingly common, increasingly addled moments.
The press never report the crowd on January 6th. You know, Nikki Haley, you know, did you know they destroyed all of the information, all of the evidence, everything? Deleted and destroyed all of it, because of lots of things. Like Nikki Haley is in charge of security.
Haley had long resisted the calls to whack Trump, but the next day, she finally took a swing.
He went on and talked about how I kept the police from going into the Capitol on January 6th. Let's be clear. I wasn't in the Capitol on January 6th. I wasn't in office on January 6th. He mentioned it 3 times. He got confused. He got confused and said he was running against Obama. He never ran against Obama.
And another.
My parents are up in age, and I love them dearly. But when you see them hit a certain age, there is a decline. That's a fact.
And still another.
He was confused the same way he said Joe Biden was going to start World War II.
Haley's broadside sounded like weak beer to Trump's fiercest critics, but they coincided with other changes, more campaign events, more interaction with the press, and at least a modicum of spontaneity on her part that gave Haley's campaign a different vibe in the home stretch.
The Boston Globe had a front page story saying the bubble wrap is off.
She needed a wake-up call, and she needed to figure out who she was, how who she was fits into this race. She found her voice late, and you saw this weekend. Crowds responded to it.
Even so, all the polls say that none of this will save Haley from a drubbing.
I think she's going to have a double-digit loss among Republicans, and I'm not sure she's going to win independents. Might just break them even, and that ain't enough to beat Donald Trump.
Late-stage New Hampshire polling has been wrong before, of course. In 2008, Barack Obama was supposedly up by double digits. But on primary night, it was Hillary Clinton saying,
"Over the last week, I listened to you, and in the process, I found my own voice."
Even as we sit here today, there are enough votes there to beat Trump here. So where you're left with is who can motivate that group. Finding her voice is the key. I don't think she got there till now, but she got there, and that may be enough.
Comparing Hillary Clinton and Nikki Haley? Come on, I hear you saying. And fair enough. But given the sobering reality that this time tomorrow, Donald Trump will likely be the GOP's de facto nominee, don't be surprised if more than a few Republicans, and not just Republicans, find themselves hoping beyond hope that New Hampshire once again works its magic and that Hillary and Haley turn out to have more in common than meets the eye. And there you have it, Willie Geist. There you have it.
A little taste of the circus there. We like that.
Little circus. We've got that drone up in the air. That's the thing,
nice.
As long as you get the drone flying up there, it really doesn't matter what we do down on the ground. Joe, Mika, we're missing you guys up here. I tried to give you a little flavor of it that you haven't been able to see up close.
That was amazing.
Also, guys, part of what strikes you here, too, is just how the conventional idea of what it takes to win in a place like this, same as Iowa, has gone out the window, which is to say you've got Governor Sununu on your side, the union leader endorsed you, all those things that used to feel like they meant something and could push you over the finish line. The sense here is that it doesn't matter, that Donald Trump presents some other challenge. And the question will be, if Nikki Haley does lose and lose by double digits, does she want to continue on to South Carolina, perhaps lose big in her home state, and endure, 3 weeks or so of attacks from Donald Trump in her own backyard? We'll see.
Well, Willie, you're right. All of those things usually matter, and maybe Trump nullifies it. But I just to remind Mika and to remind you and to remind all of our viewers that have been with us from the very beginning, it was 16 years ago on this day that Tim Russert, Mike Barnacle, you, Mika, and me were sitting around a table, and we were all talking about the end of Hillary Clinton's campaign. The New York Post and the Daily News had two scathing front page headlines about oldie but goodie, but being done. And then we had Tom Brokaw come on. And Tom Brokaw said, I've got an idea. Why don't we let the voters vote? Yep. And then we can report on that tomorrow. And it was, we were all like, yeah, that's cute. Yeah, sure. Yeah, let's let the voters vote. The voters voted, and all the polls were wildly wrong. They were 10, 11, 12, 13 points off. Say the same thing with John McCain and George W. Bush. That was 24 years ago. This time tomorrow, I was on the House floor, and Republicans that were all supporting George W. Bush just said, how did that happen? And McCain won by 18 points? The polls were wildly off. I'm not saying that's going to happen here. I'm just saying if it's going to happen anywhere, it's going to be here. And the last thing, John Heilman, the last thing that we should do, and then to Willie, is to predict what New Hampshire voters are going to do tonight, because time and time again, they've proven us all wrong.
Well, for sure, Joe, and that's part of the reason why you'll hear no predictions from me and heard none in that piece. I think, you go around here, you talk to people who know this state well. We've seen over the course of the last few cycles that polling has become increasingly unreliable everywhere. No one believes these polls in any state anymore. We thought it was a science. It's not really a science. And if there's anywhere that exemplifies that more than anywhere else, it's here. And, it may end up being wish casting on the part of anti-Trump Republicans. There's a lot of people up here, old-fashioned Republicans who still believe in things like democracy and don't want to have a budding autocrat as the nominee of their party. And they may be wish casting. It's also the fact that people who've been up here have been surprised a lot of times. And so
none of that is predicting any outcome that Nikki Haley. But there's no reason. We're going to know soon enough. Everyone just got to relax about it. Things do not look like Nikki Haley is going to have a big upset win here tonight. But let's just wait and see. Voters are going to start voting. She won all 6 of the votes last night in Dixville Notch.
There you go.
So there you go.
There you go. But Joe, yes, to your point, Joe, absolutely true. This place loves its role in this process. And this place knows, this state, how important tonight is. And there is the independent group of voters, the largest group of voters, as we've said 1,000 times in this state. If they come out and decide, as Nikki Haley put it to them again last night in her closing argument, this is it, guys. It's a binary choice. It's Donald Trump going back to that. We all know what that looked like. Or turning the page, stopping Donald Trump right here in New Hampshire. If independent voters come out in big numbers and decide that they want to do that, and enough Republicans do, you could have some kind of upset tonight. We will see, though.